Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what I'm going to do is just kind of build a little simple browser game, but just to kind of show you some important like programming logic when you think about a game and how a program works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder. Let's see here, I have a good folder to do this already. Nope, we'll just create a new folder. So create a new folder. Although I don't think that made a folder. Let's see here, new folder. There we go. We'll just call this practice. And we're going to create a new folder called Wizard Journey. Okay, Wizard Journey. And then inside there, we'll just, inside Wizard Journey's folder, create two files. We'll create index.html because we need to access the browser, and an app.js, although we're not going to actually make any like HTML. New file, app.js. Okay, and I'm going to put my boilerplate. Nice. We need to connect our JS, so script. Okay, here's app.js. And then I'm just going to put the defer keyword, just as good habit. Save. Okay, cool. And now, first thing I'm going to do is just make sure that my JavaScript is working. Console.log. Hello. And then we'll build our game from there. Save. Okay, so I'm going to open up my HTML file, open containing folder, open with Chrome. Now I open up the inspector. Let's go to the console. Hello. Nice. So we're set to go. Now, first things first, thinking about what we want our game to do. So generally first you have your player character. So, and then the player character is going to have stats. So generally I want an object with all those stats. So that's what I'm going to do first. So I always make an object, we'll call it game stats. Okay, so const game stats equals, okay, and then here we're going to have our wizard who is going to basically have he's going to have, let's think here, what should they have? They're going to have gold. They're going to collect gold so that way they can purchase training, but gold will start with 0. And then they're going to have a weapon, or we'll say a staff. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'm going to create a separate array of staffs. So the way I'm going to represent which staff they have is by the index of that array. So they're going to start off with the very first staff, which is 0. This is 0 index. Okay, and then I'm going to just add one more boolean for if they want to leave the game, called exit. So in case they want to quit the game early, this is going to be false. So this will become true whenever the game ends. And that's going to be how I end the loop. Okie dokie. Save. Okay. So technically now I can theoretically make my loop, because a game is just literally a loop that just runs until the game is done. Okay, so I'll call this my game loop, and it'll just be a while that just runs until game stats dot exit becomes true. Okay. Oh, so actually this should probably start as false. So we'll change this to play. Okay, and then once that becomes false, that's when the game's over. So it'll keep checking, are you playing the game? Save, and then we'll have all our loop in here. Whew. Got it. Let's make our list of staffs you can upgrade to. Const staffs equals, this will be an array of objects. Each staff will have a name. Basic staff. Okay, it will have a what other property should it have? It will have a cost, so you can buy it. So this is the first staff, so it's going to cost 0. And then it will have a power, meaning like how much damage it might possibly do. 20. 20. Cool. And cool. And then we just create a couple more staffs. I'll just create one more staff because I'm just going to make this really simply illustrate how the game is going to work. Then we'll have our super staff, which will cost 500 gold and have a power of 40. Save. Now I don't want to always just do 20 or 40 damage. I want it to do up to 20 or 40 damage. So that's going to require me to have some randomness. I'm going to make a random function so I can use it throughout the game. That's always generally a useful thing to do when you're making a game. So I'm just going to do const random equals a function that's going to take a high num, meaning what's the high range of what you want your random number to be. And it's just going to be math, math dot floor, because we need to round down, the result of math dot random times our high num, whatever our number is. And I want it to return that value, so there we go. So there's my random number function. So now I can generate random numbers whenever I need to. Good. Because what's going to happen is that they'll attack, and then how much damage they make is going to be random, and etc. Cool. Let's see here. Any other pieces of data I want so far? Okay, so far I think we're good. Oh, I need to make my options. And what I want to do is this random. We're gonna make our options. So here we're gonna do our game options. So you're gonna have choices of what to do while you're in the game. I'm gonna make that a separate object too. Const options equals. Okay, and then I'm gonna keep each function's gonna have a name that's just a letter, because they're gonna put in a letter. Like this is all gonna be input, no like visual. This is just prompts and alerts. So I'm gonna try to keep the instructions that you give to the game simple as possible. So a single keystroke is the best way to go. So we're gonna say a F for fight. Okay, so F for fight, and then we just make a function. So if they choose to fight, what will happen is that we will const result. They're gonna like fight. Result equals I'm trying to think what's the best way to do fighting. This one I'm gonna keep it simple, so just make it like you either successfully killed the thing or not killed the thing. So const result equals a random And then we will use game stats dot staff, because we don't know what staff they're using. So it's going to be based on whatever staff they're using, which is there. So game staff, and actually technically that's the index, so staff, I think is the name of the array, right? Staffs. And then this is technically the index. So we take the staff that they're currently using, and then we're going to use the power of that staff. Okay, so staffs, that's the index, and then we're accessing the property of that individual staff, and it'll generate the random number that way. I don't have to again write all these functions over and over again for each individual staff. It's just programmatic. Cool. Now that'll get me a number. Then we'll just do an if result is greater than 10, okay, then what's going to happen is we will alert, because alerts don't ask for input. I don't need to take input to just alert someone. It'll alert, you have vanquished the villain. You have vanquished the villain. And basically there, we'll just take the game stats dot money, or actually it's dot gold in this case, that gold, and it will be plus, let me just say arbitrary 100. So we'll do plus equals, which means, so when I do plus equals, what it does, it's going to take whatever game stats dot gold is and add the number that I have on the other side. So basically it doesn't replace it with that number. It's going to replace it, add that number, and assign it to the variable. So plus equals 100. So the first time we'll go from 0 to 100, and etc. And that's it. Else. And else, alert. The enemy lives. Okay, and then once we're done with that function, so F is done. So F is going to be for fight. U will be for upgrade. Okay, and basically it'll just check is, so if we have to take our current amount of money, so game stats dot gold, if that is greater than or equal than, game staffs, again we're going to use game stats dot staff, so our current staff plus 1, because technically we're talking about getting the next staff. So our current staff isn't the one we're buying, it's the next one. So I'm going to do plus 1, so it gets the next index. And then we're using the cost of the staff, which is dot cost, because it's the property of the staff object. Okay, so if it's greater or equal than that, then I'll say you alert, you have upgraded. Okay, and then we just need to do game stats dot staff and just add 1 to your staff. So that'll just add 1, which means going forward it'll use this next index. Okay. And then else, let me put the else in there. Else alert, you can't afford that. You cannot afford that. Okay, and then that'll end that function. I'm just going to do one last little thing in this, just because what happens if there is no next staff? What am I comparing all this to? So I just want to catch that. So I'm going to say if, and I'm going to put this variable here. If there is no next staff, because then this will come back as undefined. And then just do an alert. There is no upgrade. And then I'm going to return 0 just because I want to kill the function. Whenever you return a value, it kills the function. So I'm just going to return 0. And actually, I want to do this if it's not true. So I'm going to put a little asterisk, which means if this is not true, if this is a falsy thing. So if this doesn't exist, this if will, meaning there is no next staff to upgrade to. And then I'm going to do one more for quitting. Okay, so I'll just do a queue function for quitting. Okay, we're almost done. And then all this does is take it will take it will take game stats dot play and make it equal false. Okay, and then we'll just say, hey, you have quit the game. Alert, you have quit the game. So that way when it gets to the next loop, that'll be false going forward, and it'll just end the game. Cool, so now I've set up all my pieces. Okay, so I've set up, you know, again, it's always about breaking down your data into just little pieces that are that work in tandem. Okay, and again, this could be more complicated. I could start adding, like, you know, you experience points, you leveling, but trying to keep this simple. Okay, so here we have our while loop. This is just going to keep running along as that play variable is true. Okay, so the thing is that I have to do, so first we're just going to do a loop, or actually just do our prompt. So we're going to ask our user for what they want to do. So first we actually explain them the game. So alert, so in the game first, even before the while loop, because we want to be explaining it to them every time. So I'll do an alert here. Alert, welcome to Wizard Battle, where as a wizard you must fight. To get a better staff and 1,000 gold. Or actually we'll say 500. 500 gold keeps life simple. And what was the cost of that new staff anyways? 500. Let's make it 200. Again, don't want to make this game take too long, so that we can demonstrate it in the scope of this video. Okay. Now each time we do this, we want to make sure we get information from the user. So I'm going to do const input, which is just whatever the user gives me back. And that's going to be prompt, so that way the user gets prompted for information. Const prompt, we'll just say, what would you like to do? And actually I'm going to use, actually no, let me redo this. I'm going to use using backticks. You, this way they know what they have. You have, actually I won't even do that. You have game stats dot gold. You have this much gold and are wielding the staffs, and the index is going to be game stats dot staff, so it gets the particular staff that they have, and I want to use the name, so I'm down name, and that'll put the name of the staff there. what would you like to do? And another nice thing about using backticks is now I can make this across multiple lines. So I can do something like this. Would you want to, what are the choices? It's F, U, Q. Would you like to F, which will represent fight? Would you like to U, which will be upgrade? Will it be Q, which will represent quitting? Oh, did I use Q for that? Yes, I did. Quit the game. Cool. So they'll get this instruction. They will enter in whatever they enter. And actually, I need to create one more function, just in case they put in some wrong information. So I'll put I for like incorrect entry. And all this is going to do is alert that is not an option. Save. Okay. So what I'm going to do is first test to make sure. So basically what I'm using is that whatever they put in, I'm using it as the key to the object to access the right function. So I want to make sure that whatever they put in, there's actually a function to use. So I'm going to use a ternary operator. So I'm going to say, what are those? The name of that object again? Options. Okay. So in the options object, if there is a key by the name of input, if that exists, then run that function. Because again, all the items of that object are functions. So I want to invoke that function. And if not, then run options I. Because I is the one where it's like, oh, that doesn't exist. Okay, and then basically that determines how the game works. So now what I need to do is do a check win condition. Okay, so first, just two possible ways to exit the game. Okay, and then we did the quit. Well, they would just run quit. So basically here, I just do the other win condition. So if they have upgraded the staff, so that means if game stats dot staff is 1, because that would be the second staff. There's only 2 staffs. So they've upgraded all the way, and game stats dot gold equals 500. If that's the case, then we'll say alert, you have won the game. And then we'll change game stats dot play to false, so that way the game stops looping. Cool. Okay, so that's the game. Okay. So see, by using variables and not ever referring to anything directly, again, here, these are really just indexes in different arrays. Well, really staff is. And then I'm just grabbing the right array, grabbing the right staff by using the index that I have in game stats. That's key to not having to type in a bunch of stuff all the time. So now let's try this out. So the loop wins. Again, that first alert, this describes the game. Welcome to the wizard battle, where a wizard must fight to get a better staff and 500. I should have wrote 500 gold. So here it asks me what to do. You have 0 gold and are wielding a basic staff. So I'll fight. So I'll type in the letter F. And see that again the directions give me detail. So that way I know what they're doing. The enemy lives. Okay, that was unsuccessful. Game stats is not defined. Oh, there's an error. So an app.js 72. So let's head over there. I have too many parentheses in here. And game stats says game stats doesn't exist. Oh, games stats. Where did I write game stats? Here it is. So I'm gonna get rid of that. And then yes, while I'm here, I might as well fix this. Get 500 gold. And then I'll refresh. F. The enemy lives. And nope, we're still getting another error. Cannot read property name of undefined. App.js 64. Game stats dot staff dot name. So why didn't that error in the first place? Oh, here's why. Okay, that should be triple equals. I need equality there, so that's needs to be fixed. Okay, although it should be able to access index 1, so why wouldn't it? I'm gonna go take a look at my staffs object real quick. Name, basic staff, cost, power. Yeah, it's all good. Okay, let's keep going. Let's try this out again. Always bugs are always the fun part. Okay, okay. Well, let me just actually test the quitting part. So let's see if I hit Q. You have quit the game. Let's see if the loop breaks. Now let's try that again. Now if I try to upgrade and I don't have the money, you can't afford that. Good. Okay, I get the good. The enemy lives. Enemy lives. I should have made this. Maybe I shouldn't have done the random thing for this particular exercise, because who knows how many times I'll have to do this before. Okay, for the sake of brevity, I'm going to go back and kind of alter that and make that really easy to kill the enemy. So let's go back here. Let's go back to fight. Let's take a look at our fight logic. Okay, const result equals random. Let me see here. Random math.floor, math.random. Oh, here's why. I never invoked the random function. So it's not actually generating a random number. Okay, there we go. That should fix that. Now I still want to make this a little bit easier, so I'm going to say, hey, it just has to be above 5. So long as the number's above 5, it'll make it really easy to vanquish our enemies. So refresh. F, you have vanquished the villain. Yay, look, I have 100 gold. But I'm still building the basic staff. So F, I vanquished the villain. I now have 200 gold. I should be able to upgrade now, so I type in U. You have upgraded. And look, now I'm wielding the super staff. What would you like to do? F. 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 It's not letting me do 500 gold. Why? The enemy lives. Oh, because I guess unsuccessfully vanquished the villain. And I won the game. Yay! Cool. And then the loop breaks. And that's that. So the game works. So that's, again, the logic of a basic game. So again, just to kind of run through it. I have my global stats, which are just sort of the stats that determine what the game's current context is. So think of this as the state of your game. Here's my list of staffs. Which staff I'm using is based on the index that I have under my staff. I have a random number function, so that way stuff can happen randomly. And then for my options object, which has all the different things that can happen, I just basically, and again, you could do if statements or switch. I just kind of find this to be very, very dry. I just created a function that exists in a property that has a letter that the user would enter. So so this way I don't have to put a separate if statement. I can literally just call the right object key. And I use a ternary operator just to make sure that that property actually exists. So that way it doesn't try to call, someone doesn't type in like G and just no G function, so it just breaks. Cool. And other than that, I just keep running a loop where I keep asking them for input. It runs the appropriate function and then checks to see if they won. And then the minute that they won, it switches the little Boolean to false, which causes the loop to stop going. And that's the game. Okay, cool. So enjoy.